let me just kind of shift to, I want one last foreign policy question, and then I want to get into a little, well, it's still foreign policy. All of this now, what's happening in terms of our reaction, our response with respect to Israel, what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. What is China's thinking vis-a-vis Taiwan? Is this to them the right time? They look and hear what you were saying. They don't need us to say this. Open source reporting about where our munitions are. Do they look and say, you know what? That really wasn't on the plan. It wasn't on the calendar today, but let's go for Taiwan.
I hope not, right? Because that would result, as you know, being in the Navy, in a catastrophic war, losses that both sides have not seen in generations. So I hope that Xi Jinping is not there. My gut is we just had the Taiwan elections in January. My gut is that Xi Jinping likely wants to sort of draw this out and take over Taiwan. There's no doubt that he wants to take over Taiwan. It's sort of like Putin's obsession with Crimea. They're going to get it right in their minds. No matter come hell or high water, they're going to get it. What Xi Jinping doesn't want is to be, king of the rubble, king of the ashes, which is what would happen basically if they were to take over Taiwan militarily. So if you look at what they did in Hong Kong and the slow takeover politically, I think that they are willing to play the long game and try to do that with Taiwan, and that's probably their first preference. Saying that, they do have a big decision to make this year. Do they want to take any action under President Biden, or do they want to risk that they're going to get Trump back and that it's going to be a different situation for them? There's many ways in which, and you could talk to military experts better than me. There's many ways in which that the Chinese are not ready to take us on militarily. They know it, but listen, they are what we would call a near peer competitor, and they're getting better and better. Right? They have more people to throw at the problem. They have more money to throw at the problem. They don't have the supply chain and industrial base issues that we have. So it's incredibly concerning for sure. And I think mostly because, listen, they have a bigger Navy than us now. Does that mean that it has the same capabilities? Probably not. But listen, they're close enough that this is a real fight. It would be a real fight, and a fight that we haven't seen in a long time. I don't think anybody knows.
Although part of why I'm asking is, I wonder under this administration if we go, gosh, unfortunately, we don't have the capability, they get to take it.
It's certainly possible. As I said at the very beginning, we need to start believing dictators and despots when they say they're going to do things. And when Xi Jinping says, when he was meeting with Putin, by the way, he and Putin have met together. These two world leaders have met each other more than they have met any other world leader, more than any other world leaders have met. Like the two of them have been BFFs for, 10 or 12 years now. The whole fallacy that some people who've spent 2 minutes studying foreign policy to say, oh, we should break Russia away from China. We should have 12 years ago. So congratulations for being late to the party on that one. But, when you look at Xi Jinping, when you look at what he says the last time he was with Putin, he said, I'm paraphrasing, that there's going to be a change in the world order that the world hadn't seen in 100 years. I believe him when he says that. I believe he has every intention for not only dominating Taiwan, but the South China Sea, Asia, and then the world.
You're absolutely. I just get a kick out of like these guys. Xi Jinping laid out a roadmap as far as where China's going. And then these guys guess what he wants to do. It's like, dude, he wrote it down for you. He literally told you where he wants to go. And everyone's like, let's analyze this. And it's like, dude, there's no analyzing necessary. He's very clear about where he wants to go. Morgan, one of the other things, before I let you go, I love playing the VP game, right? But just hear me out. Okay. But I thought to myself, I play it with everybody because I love it, and there's pros and cons. Me too. But I want to play a different version with you. I want to play the foreign policy intel game with you.
Okay.
Oh, didn't see that coming. So in fact, it was a neighbor that asked me the other day, and he said, who do you think in a second Trump term fills those key roles? So you served in the State Department. You worked with Mike Pompeo. You know all the players. Who do you think fills those senior roles?
So first of all, I think Pompeo would be at the top of my list for anything.
Yep.
I think he'd be a fantastic SecDef. I even think he'd be a fantastic VP. Listen, we don't have to play the DEI games with President Trump's VP choice. It should be whoever he feels comfortable with and is the most qualified with, right? And so, I've never voted based on my ovaries or reproductive organs, and I don't think other people should be chosen based on that either. And if the most qualified person and the person President Trump feels most capable with is a woman, great, good for the ladies, yay. But I do think Pompeo would be a great SecDef. He's already been CIA, he's already been Sec State. I don't know that he really feels the need to go in and be. I haven't talked to him about it. I doubt he wants to be a third cabinet secretary. It's like he's already done enough in life. But if it's up to me, I think he's amazing. I also think that our friend Rick Grinnell, Robert O'Brien, John Ratcliffe. These guys are all really fantastic. Oh, by the way, and they could do whether it is NSA, CIA, Sec State, all of this stuff. My top choice, he probably doesn't love me saying this because I think he's happy being a senator in Tennessee, is my good friend Bill Hagerty, who was the only person in the Senate who was in Trump's administration. He was Trump's ambassador to Japan. He negotiated the only FTA, which you were at USTR, free trade agreement, bilateral free trade agreement. He negotiated the only one that has gotten through in the last decade, I believe. Sean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the only FTA in the past decade to get through the Senate bilateral FTA.
Yeah, I was going to say Chorus would have been the last one before. I think, yeah.
And he also negotiated.
So what would you if you had to place Bill Hagerty, the senator from Tennessee, where would you put him?
Listen, Bill, John Ratcliffe, Robert O'Brien, Rick Grinnell, they could all do NSA, Sec State, CIA, DOD. It's up to the president to determine who goes where, but I think they're all immensely qualified. DNI, they would all be great for those jobs. And maybe I actually number two to one of my friends.
my list is your list. I am glad you reconfirmed that because you know more about that world than I do. Let me ask you a last question. Speaking of you and Bill Hagerty potentially filling a vacancy, there's a potential vacancy in the 5th district where Mark Green may or may not. Apparently, he's reconsidered. Would you A, consider running again? I know you thought about it last time. No. Or B, then okay, we got to know there. Would you serve in a second Trump administration?
Sure. I mean, I have a 3-year-old. She'll be 4 in November around the time of the election. So, that is my first priority. My highest job and calling I'll ever do is be her mom.
Right.
So with Pompeo, I was traveling the world. I was gone half the month. I couldn't do that right now with her being so little. I mean, I love the job. It was amazing. But, potentially we'll see. I think what's more important than me sort of advocating for a particular job is to actually get President Trump elected.
Right. Well, he knows your qualifications, and I don't doubt that you'd be high on the list. Anyway, Morgan, thanks for being with us. I love the insight, and I like I said, I've got like a half a page of questions left. Unfortunately,
we'll have to do it again.